dead ball dancing. If you're joining us, you have probably gotten sick of watching St. Mary's play basketball. That's what I was doing. They are up by about 20. That's going to be St. Mary's Gonzaga. There was never any doubt. There's not another good team in that conference.
Who are they beating right now? USF?
Pepperdine.
I took them on chain link. Yes.
Yeah, the 9 seed. The 9 seed. They playing well. They were up early, but they were never going to beat St. Mary's.
I would really like to have seen Washington State make a little more noise than they did this year, to be honest with you. I'm a little frustrated with that team, but alas, we have good basketball to talk about, and we have some more crap basketball to talk about, I think. So,
yeah.
Why don't you go over the quick changes you made, or that we made?
Yeah, so obviously it's been 2 weeks since the top 25 came out from us. So you see some major movement here. But the other thing we did was untether ourselves from KenPom. Really was the ultimate goal was to have a ranking system that didn't rely on some of the old data. Cut the AP poll out first, and I really appreciate KenPom is obviously like the preeminent statistical model for college basketball, but still falls into some of the traps that traditional media has to contend with. So these are our new rankings. These will be the rankings we use going forward. And this is just me and Justin. We will use KenPom for tiebreakers. Happened in one spot here this week, but not anything too major, and again, not distancing from KenPom because it's inherently evil, but more just because we wanted to do our own thing.
I think obviously the most egregious example that we have here too is Michigan State, right? Like it seemed like KenPom for some reason or another, and I was trying to look into the data to figure out why, was severely undervaluing Michigan State. You have them at 6. I have them at 7. I think I'm underappreciating them at 7. So it's kind of good to see them skyrocket up 13 slots because I think it was KenPom that was holding them back. I mean, they're the best team in arguably the second best conference, right? And they have tremendous wins after wins after wins. And I know we'll get into a little bit of the what it's going to look like moving forward here for the conference tournament start, but they appear to be bordering on a number 1 overall seed. Not overall, I apologize. A number 1 seed in the tournament. They're at 5 now for us. I mean, given how Auburn plays, do we see that slipping? Right? Like, is there a chance that we see them in a 4 slot?
Yeah, the big tournaments are starting here. The big conference tournaments start this week, and we're really going to see who these teams are in more of a tournament setting. Obviously the big dance is a little bit different than the conference tournaments, but the conference tournaments are equally different from regular season. So something I'll be looking for. We've seen some big losses this past week. Tennessee, Bama, Auburn, Iowa State again, Wisconsin lost games, Arizona lost games. Like, we're coming into this time of year where you have to be playing your best ball, and going into a conference tournament playing like shit just really doesn't bode well. So, a team like Michigan State that go in hot, you put yourself in a position where you only have to win 2-3 conference games, and then you're right there. And not only have you improved your lot because the teams you're beating are ranked teams, the teams you're beating are KenPom top teams, they're quadrant 1 teams, but then also you have that final feather in your cap where you're the conference champion.
Agreed. Why don't you go ahead and start off with your first note, because it's going to lead into my first thing that I wanted to talk about in our top 25.
Yeah, well, one last call out here. I got the tickets punched on the right, I wanted to put that in there just to have. By the time we do our next show, everyone's tickets gonna be punched, essentially. So more just a visual than anything. But I mean, we're underway. We're going. There's teams that are in the tournament officially. So
And we're going to talk about some of those teams next in a little bit. So, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and we can talk about whatever we want, but the one thing that people are talking about on social media,
yeah, crazy.
where is Justin's Badger hat?
I think I'm in a state of denial and depression. This whole thing started with you guys. Did you like that? I stopped my cuss word there. I'm really proud of myself. We haven't been to an ASU game since it happened. I thought the rule was we go to an ASU game and I wear the Badger hat. Do I have to wear it on here?
Every episode and every ASU game was the bet.
Okay. So what we'll do, because I messed that up, I'll order it tonight. I'm going to wear it for our Selection Sunday show and every show moving forward. And I will also wear it for the same amount of episodes that I've missed into next season. Does that sound good, everyone?
I guess we'll see. We'll have to see how the internet feels about it. A lot of people felt really let down.
Yeah.
I've been out there trying to defend you, but there's comments like, "Is Justin fake like Purdue?" That was a question I saw asked.
Well, it might be faker than Purdue, to be honest.
Like who's the bigger letdown, Zach Edey or Justin? I saw that one out there.
Playing well. Hold on, time out. Time out. He's gonna be rookie of the year. No, yes, you will see it on Selection Sunday live show. Rick will talk about it later. I'm going to talk a little bit about Purdue, and I'm also going to talk a little bit about Wisconsin because halfway through the Big Ten season, I thought Wisconsin might legitimately win both the regular season and the conference tournament. I think, and I'm not just saying that to butter you up. They looked like that team, right? They played their brand of basketball. They got downhill. Defensively, they were solid, maybe a little bit worse than in the past, but still really good on the defensive side of the ball. The loss to Oregon, we have them at 25 now, but like Oregon hasn't looked great. They skated by Washington. No, I'm sorry. They beat the hell out of Washington. I apologize. Then lost to Michigan State, then barely beat Minnesota, and then they lost to Penn State after being up by like 20 in the first. Well, I don't know if it was 20, Rick, keep me honest, but it was like, I don't know. I feel like, the first half of the Big Ten season, that version of Wisconsin would have stepped on Penn State's neck, right? But it feels like maybe they just lost a little bit of wind in their sails after the tough stretch that they had. Oregon and Michigan State. Those are two tough teams. I'd like to see them bounce back. I believe that I have them at bear with me one moment. I have them at a 7. I think that's devaluing them a little bit. I can see them ending up a little bit higher than that, but I want to see how they bounce back in the conference tournament. And then Purdue, look, I love Purdue basketball more than I think any basketball team, including the NBA, because you and I both hate the NBA, but a 4-game losing streak followed by 2 really good wins against UCLA and Rutgers, followed by a loss to Illinois, who, if you don't know how I feel about Illinois, go back a couple episodes and watch my monologue. I mean, that's an ungodly stretch of basketball. And that's not the Matt Painter coaching that I grew up with, at least watching Purdue, right? So I'm not worried about the Big Ten in the big dance as a whole, because I think Michigan State is really, and Maryland are carrying that conference. But it feels like anything after about the 3 or 4 is dropping off drastically right now. And I just don't know what to think of the Big Ten going into the tournament. So I just wanted to stop there and just be like, what the hell is going on with the Big Ten a little bit? Because right now I can't see a team getting past the second round with the exception of Michigan State and Maryland from that conference. So,
yeah, and it's tough for me because I've been saying all year exactly what this Badgers team is. And for better or for worse, the Badgers are always the Badgers.
Yeah.
And losing that game to Penn State to lose the double bye is so on brand.
Yeah.
And it's so on brand that it's got me questioning my bets. It's got me questioning what I do next because what happens now is that they win the Big Ten tournament.
Maybe.
And then what happens is they work their way up to like a 3 seed and they lose in the first round. So I'm trying to figure out narrative wise where this goes, because you could see that Penn State loss coming a mile away. And
even when they were up that big, though, you saw that?
Yeah, it was like pregame, man. Like this is just how Wisconsin basketball works. And that's why I'm saying, like, I don't have them picked right now to win the Big Ten tournament. I think you'd be a fool to. The value's not even there from a betting standpoint. Got Michigan State in there, but like losing the game, this narrative, losing that Penn State game, losing the double bye, this has Wisconsin wins the Big Ten tournament written all over it.
Yeah.
And I know if that happens, what happens in the big dance, right? So I need them to not.
Yeah.
Because the only shot they have the Sweet 16 is like losing to Northwestern for no reason. So I'm not thrilled about it. And I think you're dead on. I think the Big Ten is a little top heavy here.
Yeah.
I'm real interested to see this Purdue Rutgers game because I think that's going to go a long way. Not necessarily even for this year. Purdue's the better team this year. It's not particularly close, but they've played really poorly down the stretch here.
Yeah.
And Rutgers is really kind of like a lost season, right? So for me in the Big Ten tournament, those are kind of more the narratives I'm looking for. Like I'm actually really looking forward to seeing Indiana and Northwestern and Nebraska play ball because on the whole, the Big Ten's had kind of a crappy college basketball season. You know, we won't waste any more airtime in Illinois. You know, Oregon's looked like shit for long amounts of the season. UCLA has come on as of late, but it's kind of the same thing. You know, it's like, can we really tout UCLA when we just said the whole rest of the Big Ten sucks?
Right.
You know, yeah, they beat Ohio State, they beat Nebraska, they beat Indiana. Does any of that even matter?
Not really. Those are all weak wins, it feels like now. You know,
so that's what I'm looking for is give me like the back half of the Big Ten. You know, the top 6 teams or so are going dancing no matter what happens. I think Michigan State has the most to lose. Because like you alluded to, they're probably playing for a 1. And if you even don't look great in the Big Ten tournament
you're not
and win it, you might lose that 1. So I want to see the back end of the Big Ten and just kind of see. I'm glad that all the teams don't make it anymore. But you know, give me the 13, 14 seeds to make a little bit of noise. I want to see what's going on in the Big Ten.
I love the narrative you painted too, and it's like I have 10 Big Ten teams. And I'm just wanting to see who they are now. Just super quick before we go. It's like Maryland, Michigan State, UCLA, Purdue. I also have India. I have Nebraska making it. That's what I want to see. I want to see Nebraska like enter the Big Ten tournament as a complete underdog, a team that's played well in really good spots this year, and just beat the living crap out of everyone playing Nebraska style basketball and then get an auto bid. I think show me that there's still some strength on the bottom half of the Big Ten by letting one of these crappy quote unquote teams win. I really like your point there. What you got next for us? I got a couple more things that I definitely want to talk about, but why don't you take us next?
Yeah, I was just looking really quick. I don't have Nebraska. I have 7 teams in. I have Ohio State and Indiana in my first 4 out right now, but not Nebraska.
Yeah, makes sense.
You know, kind of the opposite side of the same coin. The SEC, we saw some horrific attrition down the stretch here in the SEC. You know, Bama lost a game they shouldn't have lost, then won a game they shouldn't have won, and Auburn dropped a couple, and Tennessee dropped one, and we see Florida all the way up at number 2 here in our rankings. I have Florida at number 2 in my personal rankings. I mean, they're kind of last man standing, and we've seen Florida play like shit this year too. But you know, kind of the same thing we talked about with the Big Ten is like rounding into form at the right time.
Yeah,
Florida's the only team that didn't lose games this week in the SEC. You know, everybody else dropped. Mizzou dropped all the way out of our rankings. I mean, they're gone. Florida's kind of the last one there, and I'm not convinced on paper in a bracket in the SEC tournament that Florida's the best team, but I think they are the best team in the SEC as it sits right now.
Yeah.
But I'm worried about what happens if they lose to Alabama. What happens if they lose to Auburn? What happens if Mizzou pops up and gets them in the SEC tournament? You know, are we going to see the SEC cannibalize itself? Can we maybe be in a situation where there's not an SEC team as a 1 seed?
What would you need? That's a hell of a question. Oh my God. I think, man, I don't know. I think there's too many SEC teams hovering around the 2 and below to where it's like, even if Auburn doesn't win, right? Like, and let's say Tennessee wins and they're currently at 8, right? That would mean that probably Duke and Michigan State would slide up, and then Tennessee winning the hardest conference in all of college basketball, I would put them at my 4 personally.
I just think there's no way St. John slips in there.
No, I like St. John's.
You can't have Clemson and Duke up top, right?
Nope.
So I mean, you run out of teams that aren't SEC teams.
Right. I mean, there conceivably there could be 5 SEC teams in the top 8, depending on how the SEC tournament shapes out, right? Because look, you got Florida, Auburn, Tennessee, Bama. There's 4. Texas A&M has looked good. I don't know why they slid down 3 spots. I think I had them up pretty high. No, I had them at 13. But I mean, like, if Texas A&M plays the way that they played against Bama, like, I could see them at an 8 or like a 7. Yep. So just gonna be super interesting to see. It's SEC is crazy. So speaking of the SEC, Auburn's starting to lose a lot, and I'm okay with the loss to Bama. We had Bama at our number 1 seed, I think, in our superlatives episode. Maybe Auburn was there, but I know Bama at one point was at our top 25 number 1 for a few weeks in a row early in the season. Questionable call at the end of that game. Kind of got away with a push off on the floater. Doesn't matter. Shit's gonna happen. Losing to A&M the way they lost was wild. Like they kind of got they made it look like a JV team a little bit, which Auburn has not looked that way all year. And I think A&M did a good job of making their weaknesses very apparent, right? Like, for example, like Auburn is 330th worst in the country in opponents' free throws made per game. That's 17. And their opponents are attempting 23 free throws a game. So like they foul a crap ton. And A&M gets downhill. They got downhill. They got to the line, and that's how they won the game, really. And Auburn on the defensive side of the ball, like I said, they're fouling 19 times a game. That's 308th in the country. Like, there's just things that they do that worry me. And the teams that as of late have been poking major holes in their game, and I'm worried that they're not in the form that they should be going into the tournament. I still have Duke as my number 1 overall seed. And that pick to me is looking a little more smooth and solid than an Auburn at a number 1 seed right now. Because if you look at how those 2 teams have played, and 2 teams that we've discussed as being, potentially in the national championship game, right? As of right now, I'm not sure that Duke doesn't beat Auburn if they play right this second. And if you would have asked me that 4 weeks ago, I would have said, you're ridiculous. Like, Auburn is far and away the best team in the country. So, we talk about rounding into form going into the tournament, and I'm concerned about Auburn for sure. They need to tidy up the defensive side of the ball. They need to stop fouling because, as you have said this entire year, the tournament comes down to defense and free throws, and Auburn is struggling at both of those right now, and they've struggled all year. So I'm really interested to see if they could pull it together throughout this conference tournament. I will say, if they don't win the SEC conference tournament, I don't have them advancing past the Sweet 16. That's a wild statement, I know, but they're just not passing the eye test for me right now. So I'm going to stop there, but I don't know if you have any thoughts on Auburn in particular.
No, nothing we haven't kind of waxed poetic on. The flaws in their game have been visible, and they've outperformed it mostly with just stellar offensive play.
Right.
And
right.
As the game slows down here, if they're not performing the way they are capable of on defense, they're going to get got.
Yeah.
I compare them to some of these mid majors who do all the fundamental things really, really well, but don't have the capability to pop off on offense. And Drake and VCU and McNeese and St. John's just finishing their season strong, playing their tournaments well. We've talked about it a lot. Those are the teams to watch out for. Drake won 22 games in a row this year.
Yep.
That's not a fluke. You can't do that by accident.
No.
They looked a little suspect for a bit, but then they finished strong and they whooped ass in the MVC.
Yeah.
They are coming in hot. They're ready to go. And there's a lot of these mid majors that are sitting, in 20 to 35 in our rankings that I want nothing to do with. I got Wisconsin projected out as a 5 seed, and I don't want anything to do with a 12, a 13, and 11. Some of these conference like SIUE looked incredible in the Ohio Valley. I don't want anything to do with any of these teams.
Yeah, and I think if these bigger teams in the Big Ten and SEC in particular don't start rounding into form and they have to run into VCU or McNeese, like McNeese especially, like top 40 across the board on almost every defensive stat that you could possibly think of, tested against Bama, tested against Mississippi State. And that was before they had their, crap together, so to speak. I want nothing to do, to your point, with any of these mid-majors. And the way that St. John's is finishing this season and the fact they're having to battle for their wins, but they're battling and getting through, scary. Scary for sure. I just want to go over one piece of disappointment that I have. I don't know what Summit League. Yes, the Summit League. North Dakota Fighting Hawks are not going to make the tournament, which is a real piece of sadness in my heart. Because Trayson Eagles, did you watch that game?
No.
I happened to watch it. Like, I don't know what was going on with me, but I wanted to watch this Summit League 8 versus 9, I guess, quarterfinal. 51 points on 15 for 28 from the field, bro. Like, that's the type of shit that I want to see in March Madness. And I don't know who they played, who knocked them out, but whatever team knocked them out of the getting to the tournament and their conference title game, I hate them. I hope that team never wins another basketball game because, dude, this kid was unbelievable. He was hitting like Kobe level footwork step backs. He went like 50% from 3. 51. He went 51 in a conference. He rested 2 minutes, dude. Like I was so enthralled by the way that this kid was playing basketball that like I wasn't even paying attention to the game. Like I was just like, give him the ball every single time and go let him score. Him versus the South Dakota Jackrabbits alone, it would have been 69-51, an 18-point loss by him himself. And his team won. So it's like I'm so wishing that we would have a performance like that in March Madness because you think about the storylines that make headers every year. And that's the type of stuff that I wish Jimmer Fredette, Steph Curry in the tournament, right? Like I'm hoping one of those pops off, but man, 51 on 60-something% shooting is diabolical. And I hope the kid comes back next year and North Dakota's better. So
they lost to St. Thomas, and that game secured the Summit Championship for Omaha. St. Thomas is transitioning from D2, not eligible. So Omaha beat them anyway. But it was nice to see Omaha kind of play more relaxed.
Yeah.
It really seemed that since they had nothing to lose, they played better. And I've only seen a couple of their games because it is Omaha, but they look good. They look good.
Yeah.
So 7 tickets punched in the time that we've been filming here. That we finished up the SoCon and the Sun Belt.
Oh, nice. Got them updated.
Man, there's a kid for Wofford, Kyler Filowich, and he did it again tonight. I was watching this one tonight. He's granny throwing. He's like 6'5", 250 list. He's probably like 280, and he's granny throwing his free throws, and he's awful. He is awful. Like the granny throws.
at free throws.
Yeah, the granny throws increase his free throw percentage from like 20 to like 31. It's preposterous to look at, but really entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, he's averaging 12, 10, and 3 on 57% from the floor, so the kid can play.
Yep. Yeah, and he just gets up there and he just chucks it granny style. It's
awesome,
impressive.
dude.
But Wofford looked real good. I didn't have them touching the SoCon.
Neither did I.
And man, they played hard and had some things break their way. So the Terriers of Wofford will be dancing. Drake won the MVC. High Point won the Big South. No real surprise there. We were all over High Point.
Yep.
Lipscomb did pull out the Atlantic Sun. We already mentioned SIU Edwardsville played really, really well in the OVC.
Yep.
And then Troy knocked off the Sun Belt Championship tonight. So
okay.
Round of applause to those 7 teams. They are all in. And man, we're gonna crown what 61 more teams in the next 6 days.
2 things. That High Point team is scary. Scary. 15th in field goals, 16th in 2-point percentage. True shooting, they're 5th in the nation. Shooting efficiency, they're 7th. Field goal maze, they're 33rd. Points per game, they're 17th. Scoring margin, they're 18th. First half points, they're 11th. Second half points, they're 40th. Like, I don't know who's going to get them, but they're in trouble, whoever's getting them.
Right now, I have them as a standalone 11 playing Oregon.
Oh, you have them against Oregon. Okay. What did I think where did I have them? Just to give people an idea. High Point. I had High Point at the 3rd 13 seed. Seems a bit low, but there's some good teams ahead of them actually. So we'll see. Lipscomb. I did not have Lipscomb winning that game, or I'm sorry, that the ASUN. I had North Alabama. This team's very good. I like the way they play. They're 9th in the nation in free throw percentage at 80% per game. They're 50th in 3-point percentage. They're 22nd in 2-point percentage. And I know, like, when we talk about these lower conference teams, right, or like the not premier conference teams, the quality of opponent drops. But to be that consistent the entire year, to be ranked in the entire D1 top 20 in most offensive statistics, like Lipscomb is, that's impressive to me. And the defensive side of the ball for them is also very solid. 50th in scoring defense. Opponents are only getting 9 free throws a game. I think you're looking at this list, and we're going to have more, like you said, Rick, but 2 teams to watch out of this list, if you're me and not the obvious Drake that we've already talked about, is High Point and Lipscomb. I'd be really interested to see who Lipscomb, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, pulls in the first round. And we will see that live on Sunday because there is a chance that we could see a 3-14, 2-15 if Lipscomb gets a 14 or 15 seed. I'm really interested to see who they pull. So I'm going to keep my eye on them for sure.
I have a feeling the committee's going to do them dirty. I would not be shocked to see them pull St. John's.
You think so? You think they're going to pull St. John's?
Yeah, if St. John's ends up a 3 behind this mess of SEC Big 12 teams, I could see that 3-14 matchup.
Yeah, that's a good call. Where would I
keep them out east?
Oh, I see. Where is Lipscomb?
South Carolina.
Bisons. Are you sure it's not?
Oh, please. Nashville.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. Yeah, keep an eye on that team. That's a good team for sure. I really like watching them play.
Oh yeah, we'll alluded to it a couple times. We're gonna do a live show. Fingers crossed. Hopefully, we can pull it off as the bracket is unveiled on Sunday.
Oh yeah.
So I know the Ivy every year insists on existing. Their tournament game is like the last thing going on before the bracketology poll. So I think almost everything will be decided until whatever 3 teams are still playing basketball in the Ivy on Sunday afternoon or are done doing whatever it is that they're doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, our goal is to give you guys a little live look. Just kind of give some of our thoughts as we get into it and see if some of these matchups we've been dreaming up between these 15s and 2s actually come to fruition.
Oh yeah.
That'll take the place of our normal Monday show. And then we'll have all kinds of bracket information to jump in on. So it's a good time of year. It's like Christmas.
It's like Christmas for a hoop fan. And I noticed you said, just looking at what your last comment here, the Ivy is preposterous. 4 teams qualify. Is that like a thing? Like, are you thinking that 4 teams will qualify for the Ivy?
No. Only 4 teams qualify to play in the Ivy tournament. They chop the bottom 8. They play 2 semifinals on Saturday, and they always have their finals on Sunday. No one plays on Sunday except the friggin' Ivy.
Interesting, yeah. And then we both took, I believe, Yale. Yeah, we both took Yale.
I don't see a scenario where Yale loses. But
I thought you were saying 4 Ivy teams get in the tournament. I was like, I didn't
know. One Ivy team shouldn't get in the tournament. Too much. No, they only let 4 in.
Gotcha.
And then they're the lead-in game. They're the last thing going on. ESPN goes right from their game into their selection show.
Perfect. Before we get to game of the week, any more tournament call-outs? I think we got a couple, right?
I mean, nothing I really wanted to talk about. I mean, if you want to talk to Big 12, we can.
I think Houston's going to win. That's clear. That makes perfect sense. I got Houston over Iowa State. I got Kansas State versus Texas Tech on 3/13. So I have Kansas State winning their first game against Arizona State, and then I have them beating Baylor. I'm being so aggro about this team right now, but I'm just interested. And then I have them playing Texas Tech on the Thursday. If Kansas State plays Texas Tech on 3/13 and wins, they go to the tournament. Keep an eye on that. We talked about we talked about this team earlier when they went on a 9-game win streak and knocked off 7 AP top 10s or whatever the hell it was. I don't think they make it without a good run in the conference tournament. If this team squeaks in to the big dance, we know they can string together wins. So I just wanted to say, Big 12 wise, watch out for that the Kansas State. What are they? Cougars? Yeah, Cougars.
Yeah, the one that is really interesting to me is the potential Iowa State BYU matchup.
Yeah,
BYU obviously earned their buys with some incredible conference play there. But Iowa State, Houston, still kind of the class of that conference. Yep. So I mean, it's a chance for BYU to show they belong. I mean, if you win that game against Iowa State, I don't think it really matters what happens next. You're probably good for a top 6 seed.
Yeah.
But I mean, they've shown they can beat those teams. I'd be really scared if I'm Houston or Texas Tech sitting there and BYU gets through Iowa State because your road just got a hell of a lot harder.
Oh yeah. And we both value BYU. I'm just looking at our rankings just for the people watching. I got them at the second 4 seed, so 14 overall, and you got them real close. You had them at the first 5th seed at 17th overall. So we value them very much the same, and I think they've proved they should be in that 3, 4, 5 range, right? So let's see how they play in the conference tournament. And dude, if they win the conference tournament, they're a 2 seed. So super excited to see what happens there.
All right, so game of the week, there are lots of cool options, but we kind of kept it to games that we know for sure are going to happen, which limited us to a little bit earlier in the week because, I mean, there's some monsters. I mean, we could look at Saturday and be like, yes, the Big Ten championship game is going to be sick.
We don't know who, though.
Yeah, trying to keep it to stuff that actually exists. This is a game that can really define a season for either one of these teams. Georgia, Oklahoma on the 12th, on Wednesday. These teams are both just outside the top 40 in our rankings.
We have them in, though. Okay.
Probably need this win to stay tournament relevant. The prevailing numbers seem to have them a little bit further behind where we do.
Yeah.
A lot of teams have Georgia last 4 in, first 4 out kind of range. So that you'll probably need this one, but probably don't need another win. So this kind of takes on championship game connotations for these two teams, because if you can get through here, and as long as you don't get completely embarrassed in your next SEC game, this is probably getting you into the tournament.
Yeah, agreed. And I think we both have Georgia, and I'm going to go into a little bit why. But I just want to say one thing: like, if nobody stops this Jeremiah Fears kid on Oklahoma, and Oklahoma gets into the tournament, which you and I both believe they will at 41 and Georgia at 45, like, if they go on a roll, like, Oklahoma's going to win the championship, because this kid apparently just is like the best freshman of all time, I guess. All SEC freshman team, 30 points 3 times as a freshman, 20 points 9 times. He scored double digits all but like 2 games. Like, if he gets going, like, he's going to wreak havoc in the tournament. Now, with that being said, like, that's really kind of their only offensive spark other than Jalon Moore, who can also play a little bit, but he's more defensive focused. And I really like the way that Georgia just plays basketball. Like, when I watch Georgia play, I don't think of like high flying, quick paced SEC basketball. They almost remind me of like a Big Ten team stuck in the SEC. They shoot a ton of free throws, 34th in makes, 27th in attempts. They're very good at what was the stat? Where's this damn stat? Defensive rebounds per game. That's the one that I wanted to call out. They're number 5 in the nation in allowing defensive rebounds per game, which means they are relentless on the boards. And anytime a shot goes up, I mean, offensive or defensive side of the ball, it doesn't matter. It's in their hands. They're 17th in 3-point percentage defense. They're 26th in first half scoring defense. They seem to me like a really fundamentally defensive focused team. And I like that going into the tournament. So I got Georgia winning this. I do have Georgia, I think, valued maybe just slightly higher than you. I have Georgia at 42, and I think you have Georgia at 67. Yeah, so I probably have them a little bit overvalued, but they have some really good wins this year. And I think, if they win this and they make a little bit of noise in the SEC tournament, they're pretty much an auto lock for me. So I like Georgia in this game. I like the way they play basketball. So go Dogs, I guess.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take Georgia as well. It's really defense against offense. I mean, these teams are both top 40 in KenPom. Georgia's top 30 in the country in defensive rating, and Oklahoma's top 30 in offensive rating. And Georgia just looks better to me in the games that I've seen. They look like a team who can lock in, and we've seen it from them a couple times, right? They've gotten blown off the court before, but generally speaking, they just play defense. They play their ball. They're going to lose a game by 3, and they're going to win a game by 5. And I think that kind of grind, especially with the way the end of the season's fallen out here in the SEC, I think they can beat the Sooners on a neutral court. Just kind of grind them into submission, hit their shots, high percentage shooting team. I like Georgia to win here. I think there's a world where both these teams could make it in.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But I really, it feels like an elimination game to me.
Agreed.
And if you add those stakes to it, I won't be able to not take Georgia. I think they're the better team.
Agreed. I'm confused, and I just before we move on, like, just speaking quickly again about Georgia, like, I'm so confused why these experts have Georgia at first 4 out. Like, I feel like if they just watched them play basketball, they're better than they are. Like, or better than how they're valued. They've won 4 straight. So first and foremost, that's and in that win streak, by the way, beat Florida, number 3 in the nation, right? Beat Texas, South Carolina, that's easy, and beat a very good Vanderbilt team. They also only lost to Auburn by 12 recently and 2 earlier in the season. Bama got them pretty bad, then lost by 1 to Mississippi State, and they beat Oklahoma earlier in the season by 10 and Kentucky by 13. So like I don't know, like this team feels like they have the strength of schedule, right? They have some really top quality quad one wins. So I just when I hear them at the first 4 out, it's got me like scratching my head, like what? Like I don't know. So yeah, I like Georgia in the game. I like Georgia to enter the tournament pretty easily. So I'm pulling for them. I like the way they play.
Yeah, I think they're hurt by losses to Marquette and blowout losses against Bama and against Auburn, and home losses to teams that they really shouldn't be losing to. So I definitely get what you're saying.
Yeah.
St.
John's though.
Yeah, but there are long stretches of the season where we were talking about how St. John's didn't look like St. John's, So like how the media is, it gets in there and it doesn't go anywhere. So,
right.
You play Charleston Southern closer than you should. You barely beat Grand Canyon. You beat a St. John's team that looked like shit in the first half of the year, and now Georgia's a bottom half SEC team.
Yeah,
right? You beat a Kentucky team that sucked for long parts of the season, and then 20-point loss to Tennessee, lose to Auburn, lose to Arkansas, 30-point loss to Florida, 30-point loss, 20-point loss to Bama, lose Mississippi State at home. I think it just probably set in. I think Georgia is bad, got locked in, and by the time they were done, losing back-to-back games against A&M, Mizzou, and Auburn, that home win against Florida, it's too little too late, for the media to overcome that bias.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, looking at what they've shot, since that Mizzou game, the games at Auburn, home Florida, at Texas, at South Carolina. I mean, this is a tournament team, and then
it feels like it. It feels like it. Yeah.
They beat Vandy, which, I mean, I got Vandy right on the edge of the field here too, but Vandy's not a world beater. So I think I understand it from a media bias standpoint, which is why our rankings are so important, and everyone should follow our rankings because we actually watch all the games.
we do, right? And yeah, I guess when you put it that way, it makes a lot more sense. I just hope they look at it holistically, right? Like I hope they look at it from an entire season lens and legitimately quantify how many quad one wins they have. And I think they would be surprised to see that they might be devaluing Georgia. But I mean, to your point, like some of the losses are bad, right? The Bama one's awful. The Florida one earlier in the season is awful. But then in that stretch, you lose to Auburn by 2, right? So I don't know. Yeah, we'll see, dude. It's going to be really interesting. Really, really interesting. Yeah. So
I mean, they're 222nd in the country in tempo. So most of these talking heads probably turn it on, and 5 minutes into the first half, they can't watch anymore because it's so damn slow.
Yeah, but they don't know basketball. It's a Big Ten team.
Well, and to the point you said earlier, yes, it's Big Ten basketball, and it's like it doesn't fit in what the SEC is doing, but it doesn't take away from their wins.
Yeah, agreed.
So
we'll see.
We'll see. I think if you beat Oklahoma, it answers a lot of the questions.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's not are they in or not. It's are they playing a play-in game or not.
Yeah. I see what you mean. We'll see, man. It's gonna be a good one. Good one for sure.
We got a live show coming your way on Sunday for Selection Sunday. So tune in for that. That'll get posted on the channel here as we dial kind of into what that looks like. Time change has me all messed up, so I don't know when anything is right now. I think it's 6 Eastern, which would make it 3 o'clock in the desert.
Correct.
But
correct. Yep.
So
and that's gonna be a longer show, correct? Because we're gonna see the bracket come out, I believe.
Yeah, I'm assuming ESPN is gonna milk it for everything it's worth, like they usually do. I believe it's a 90-minute show. Just the release show. So be on the lookout for that. If you haven't checked in on Chainlink this week, every single conference game is on the board. So if you know ball, or if you just want to blind bet heavy favorites, every single tournament game is up and active. We usually pull some of the lopsided games off the board, but no, it is March, and every single one of these games is up on the board. So, chainlink.st, check that out. No reason not to play. It is free, and we'll keep that rolling through tournament season here. It's the best time of year.
And you will see our game of the week noted as game of the week in Chainlink. So that'll be really exciting. If you're not going to tune into that because you're lazy, put it in the comments and let us know. I still haven't seen any championship predictions from you guys based on the last episode. A little disappointed in all of you that are watching, but you can fix that by putting your championship picks in the comment section, please. So thank you. That's all I got.
I did bet Maryland, BYU, VCU, and Mississippi State all to cut the nets down. So those are my
I like that.
those are my dark horses. I found some good value there. Right after our show.
What'd you say?
What's that?
I've been high on Mississippi State all year, and you were kind of about them.
Yeah, no, the value is there, man. Right after our show the other day, when I said Maryland was my dark horse, I'm not going to toot our horn too much, but I bet that, and the next day that line was tanked. So
because everyone's taking it. Yeah,
I think it's our thousands of viewers with their buying power at the sports books. So I appreciate y'all tailing the Maryland bet.
Maryland at a 2 seed in my bracket, just to let everyone know.
So yeah, it's gonna be good. So we got that coming your way, and then we'll do some different stuff here, probably closer to on schedule for the couple weeks the tournament is running.
Yep.
But watch the channel, watch for that, watch the socials. I'm King of Lakemore. Mostly just on Blue Sky now, so get on Blue Sky. That's pretty fun.
Jay Abe's on Instagram. Don't know what side it's on. So it's on one of these corners, but hit me up. Let me know.
All right, man. You got anything else?
No. See you on Sunday. It's going to be a blast. Please tune in. Other than that, I'm good, man. This is the best time of the year for any college basketball fan or any basketball fan. So.
Should be good. A whole bunch of tournaments tipped tomorrow and a whole bunch more on Wednesday. So make sure you're tuned in. Thanks for joining us. Dead Ball Dancing. We'll see you live on Selection Sunday to break down which 2 seed's going to lose.
Because one of them's going to. So we'll see you then.
Take it easy, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Peace, y'all.